The story kicks off when a system warns humanity that the end of the world is going down in exactly 7 days. The whole idea was a total flop, because people wouldn't stop going at each other's throats for even a single day, making any kind of teamwork impossible. The notification only made things worse, sparking absolute chaos with wild brawls right in the streets. Security forces tried their best to shut down the riots spreading across every city. By the time the final hour struck, the world was already in flames, with the military ditching their posts and society completely crumbling down. In this crazy scenario, everyone was freaking out, looking for any possible way to survive just a little bit longer. Right in the middle of this global meltdown, the MC decided to share one last pizza with his best bro. They were chilling in a hideout stocked with a first aid kit and all the essential supplies. The white-haired dude thinks about spending this final moment hanging out with his buddy. The two playfully clink their glasses together to celebrate their epic friendship. Right after, they take a sip of their drinks, shaking off some of that doomsday stress. The MC admits his journey was pretty rough, but he still had some awesome memories saved up. Smiling, his buddy with the glasses agrees and says he enjoyed the ride a lot too. The building shakes, and his friend sarcastically jokes that the guy only had a good time because he got straight A's. He notices the MC's dress shirt, who excuses it by saying he put on his best outfit for the ultimate finale. The guy with glasses wonders what's actually causing the apocalypse, tossing out the idea of an alien invasion. The silver-haired youth hopes it's something fantasy like wizards and dragons, way better than some gross creatures. Taking a bite of his pizza, his buddy wishes him luck with that wild imagination. The kid roasts his friend for carrying 4 spare pairs of glasses in his backpack. Shrugging it off, his friend replies he's just playing it safe for whatever comes next. He admits that if he were the last guy standing, he'd probably just throw in the towel. And the MC totally agrees with the vibe. The silver-haired dude looks away, wondering what the future actually holds for both of them. Staring out the window at the burning city, he questions what the big perk of a normal life even was. He thinks back on the boring routine of waking up at 6 in the morning just to learn useless stuff. The thought of living in that loop until he got a job and became a total corporate hostage made him super uncomfortable. Watching the packed commercial buildings, he realizes everyone's fate would be sealed in a matter of minutes. Looking at the wrecked streets, he figures that the whole normal life concept is gone for good. He concludes that the system wouldn't have dropped a doomsday warning if there wasn't at least a tiny chance to survive. This would be a real challenge, way better than stressing over computer programming. Flashing a confident smirk, the kid confesses he was honestly hyped for the end of times. The digital clock ticks closer to midnight, marking the exact time of the big event. Tense, his buddy stands up and warns that there's only 1 minute left until the end. He even questions if the whole thing is real, wondering if it isn't just one massive, unfunny prank. The MC brings up the riots and argues that the damage was already done anyway. His buddy jokes about trying to cast spells and failing miserably, while the kid suggests they start a countdown. The final seconds keep dropping on the clock, cranking up the anxiety inside the shelter. The silver-haired guy notices something sketchy and points out that his friend's watch seems to be off. Out of nowhere, the window starts cracking, unleashing a super intense blue glow. Spooked, his partner calls out to the MC, realizing the final hour had finally caught up to them. A massive blast hits the building, wiping everything out with a devastating flash. The shockwave tosses the two of them away, proving the watch was definitely running late. A huge floating panel pops up, welcoming them to Earth and announcing the start of the integration. Floating alerts confirm that the new world's initiation process had officially kicked off. The silver-haired dude struggles to get up, while the system lets him know he's stuck in a giant waiting line. Right then, a colossal black pillar drops from the sky, piercing through the clouds like crazy. The massive structure slams into the urban area, setting off an ear-splitting shockwave. Staring at the ruins through the window, his buddy asks if the MC is seeing this too. Spotting the incoming danger, the kid yells that they need to bail out of there ASAP. Another huge structure falls from the sky, completely crushing a nearby building with maximum force. The crash triggers a second blast, throwing the two teens to the ground right into the rubble. His friend slides across the debris-covered floor, trying his best to take cover from the impact. Near the ruins glowing with the pillar's weird energy, they try to pull themselves together. Walking next to the shiny structure, the silver haired guy checks if his bro got hurt. Out of the blue, another pillar comes crashing down, splitting the floor right next to the duo. Breathing a sigh of relief for narrowly avoiding getting squashed, his friend says they gotta bounce right now. In a sudden and totally unexpected move, two hands shove the MC right in the back. His own buddy throws the silver-haired dude straight into the massive structure's energy. The kid's eyes go wide, completely lost over this sudden backstabbing. He ends up getting sucked into the mystical structure, while his body starts glowing super bright. As he gets swallowed by the light, he screams his partner's name in pure shock before vanishing completely. His hand still tries to reach out, but he gets dragged away for good into the glowing portal. On the outside, his former buddy stands frozen, staring at the structure in total silence. The backstabber keeps a cold and mysterious look, showing absolutely zero regret. Far away from there, the MC wakes up, letting out some groans of pain as he slowly opens his eyes. Confused, he gets on his feet, wondering why his best bro just tried to take him out. Looking around the purple room, he wonders if his buddy's trap actually did the trick. The dude lightly slaps his own face to wake up and realizes his body is definitely still kicking. A screen pops up, announcing he's been put through the Mirror Lands test and needs to escape. Calling him by name, the system says his turn in line is up and asks him to pick a class. Suddenly, error notifications start flashing non-stop, making the young dude cover his ears. Glitched alerts state that it was mandatory for every living being to get a class. The system hits a critical fail, warning about a dimension crash and a strictly off-limits zone. The final panel blinks hard, signaling a major glitch during the whole process. The kid takes a deep breath, deciding to face the music since freaking out wouldn't help anyway. With a focused and determined look, he swears this is exactly what he's been waiting for. He promises that the next time he runs into that traitor, he's going to teach him a major lesson. But right after, he figures his fake friend probably isn't even around anymore. Right then, a screen randomly pops up, letting him know he unlocked the anomaly title. The system confirms that, thanks to a wild bug, he's turned into an inhabitant of the mirror world. The kid is totally lost in this massive info dump. Feeling super weird in his own body, he notices a message asking him to choose his class. At the same time, 4 glowing screens pop up floating right in front of his face. The options included physical combat, long-range magic, and summoning. He thinks it's kinda sketchy since the options seemed way too complex for a noob. Smiling excitedly, the silver-haired dude notices the starter weapon could end up being super OP, but his headache comes right back when he realizes there's zero info on the specific weapon type. Thinking about the melee combat route, he decides it wouldn't be cool to always fight up close. Focused on playing it safe, he goes for something that lets him attack from afar, dodging direct hits. But using a bow would be a total fail since he knows his aim is absolute garbage. So the teen decides to instantly trash the physical and long-range combat options. The idea of using magic seemed pretty dope, but he didn't want to get taken down in a single hit. Besides, mages usually need someone on the front lines to hold off the bad guys. Checking out the summoner class, he thinks it's perfect, since he gets a free creature right off the bat. He gets hyped thinking about the massive perk of strolling around bossing a big squad. Without second guessing, the MC taps the panel, locking in his class choice. The system confirms the summoner option, and some weird energy completely wraps around his body. Out of nowhere, the boy yells, feeling a crazy rush flood his system. Once the glow fades, he catches his breath and grumbles about how terrible that felt. Reading his new skills, he finds out he's only allowed to catch creatures from this exact spot. A bit anxious, the silver-haired guy figures the monsters around here must be way more dangerous than the ones back on Earth. A bright flash appears on the kid's neck, catching him totally off guard. A glowing mark buzzing with energy starts drawing itself right onto his skin. The display shows he scored a bonus skill that lets him drain the power of fallen teammates. Determined to get moving, he looks around, searching for that free creature the system promised. The kid starts walking through the dark room toward a mysterious exit. Blue magic rings light up a dark path at the end of the hallway. In the shadows of the doorway, 2 terrifying red eyes start glowing intensely. Right then, the system drops a handy tutorial to help him use his brand new class. Sweating bullets, the kid tries to play it cool and asks if that thing is his summon. The creepy entity just keeps staring at the silver-haired dude in awkward silence. The panel repeats the alert, pointing out that the tutorial would help catch the starter monster. Realizing he was about to get pulled out of that sketchy zone, the guy's eyes go wide with hope. Suddenly, the scary figure steps forward, revealing it's a monster with a skull face. Panicking, he spams the confirm button, begging to get out of there ASAP. A giant beam of blue light drops from the ceiling, completely covering the MC's body. The energy ramps up, triggering the teen's instant teleportation. Inside the light, the kid breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he finally ditched that creature. He reaches out his hand as the space around him seems to shatter like glass. In a split second, the youth's feet touch the ground of a totally different place. Looking around, he finds himself in a bright stone corridor and tries to figure out what's going on. The kid looks back, double-checking if the scary monster tagged along. Noticing the place was a ghost town, he yells out to see if anyone is around to help. Walking slowly, he finds it weird that the guide the system promised was a no-show. Reaching a dead end, he figures he probably got played by the system itself. Annoyed, the silver-haired dude decides that learning on his own would be way cooler anyway. He tries to remember his skills and wonders how he's supposed to use those mirror things. Closing his eyes, the kid tries to spawn the items using just brain power. To his surprise, a tiny glowing box actually pops up, hovering over his hand. He grips the metal item tightly, still doubting it worked that easily. With a relieved smile, the MC hypes up how handy this magic system really is. Right then, the little box starts glowing, revealing some letters carved on its surface. The kid is amazed to see the item projecting his stats like a hologram. The shiny screen showed his name, his new role, and all the titles he unlocked. Scratching his head, he tries to figure out how to use that to summon his starter buddy. Out of nowhere, the item's lid pops open on its own, releasing a weird purple energy. Hyped, the silver-haired guy feels like he's finally getting the hang of this new skill. But looking at the magic screen, he notices there's absolutely zero creatures trapped inside. Pocketing the item, he figures the freebie monster must be chilling in the next mirror. Summoning another silver mirror, the kid focuses completely on figuring out how to open it. Losing his patience, he starts smacking the thing against his hand, trying to force it open. Changing it up, the teen tries giving the box gentle taps, but nothing seems to work. Then he shakes the mirror near his ear, trying to hear if something alive is in there. Exhausted, the silver-haired dude stares at the mystery item, trying to brainstorm a logical fix. Driven by curiosity, he decides to poke the screen's swirling energy right with his finger. He yanks his hand back with a jump, feeling a weird chill coming from inside that mini portal. Smiling confidently, he announces he's going to drag the creature out the easy way or the hard way. With sheer willpower, the kid shoves his whole hand into the magic screen, trying to yank the beast out by force. Using all his strength, he starts pulling something out, sending sparks flying all over the room. The kid grumbles about the freezing cold while grabbing a massive, glowing sphere with his hands. Suddenly, the sphere explodes in a bright flash, tossing the MC on his back onto the ground. The kid cowers on the floor, trying to shield himself from the harsh light. Right then, a shadowy figure pops up, breaking the portal's energy. The flash reveals a massive, spiky blue creature. The MC's eyes go wide, totally amazed by the beast's huge size. Sweating bullets, he tries to keep his cool in this crazy situation. The holo screen confirms that this big guy was his starter summon. The kid checks out the creature, thinking its terrifying look is actually pretty sick. He immediately wonders if this monster is some rare type or just above average. Trying to be friendly, the boy waves and says what's up to his brand new partner. The creature just stares at its master in total silence. The MC points to himself and introduces himself with total confidence. The colossal monster stays frozen, just taking a really deep breath. The kid figures the beast doesn't talk and guesses it probably doesn't understand a thing. He lets out a frustrated sigh over the zero interaction. Out of nowhere, the monster lets out a deep, intimidating roar. Ready to test its obedience, he raises his hand, ordering the beast to do the same. The beast charges violently, forcing the teen to duck with killer reflexes. The young guy cowers on the ground, barely dodging a direct hit. He backs up fast, realizing this beast was a total wildcard. The MC breathes a sigh of relief for dodging that attack. Holding the portable portal, he wonders if the beast could go back inside. Instantly, the monster gets sucked right back into the magic item. The kid realizes the creature follows basic commands, no questions asked. He prefers it that way, since he wasn't about to force anyone to serve him. Right then, dark cracks start spreading across the corridor walls. The teen notices the timer ran out, and he'd be heading back to the danger zone soon. He He gives the beast a name and asks for a hand to escape this messy situation. While the room falls apart, he guesses that summoning it would take some special trick. To his shock, the monster rips through the screen, popping out with full force. The massive creature lands right in front of him, ready for action. The MC smiles in relief, realizing the method was actually super easy. The blue beast lands heavily, making the ground shake all around. The kid says he's hyped and promises they'd make an epic team, stoked about getting the hang of it so fast. He asks the beast to hop back in the portal. Suddenly, the area around them shatters, teleporting the teen away. The system announces he's being sent right back to where he started, floating in the void. The young dude mentally preps himself for the instant return. He lands back in that creepy room, right face to face with the shadow monster. The hooded creature lets out a terrifying roar, charging straight at the kid. The MC spins around fast, already whipping out his magic portal. The little item flashes brightly, answering its owner's call. The blue monster jumps out of the portal at the exact right moment to block the sneak attack. The two creatures clash in mid-air, sending a massive shockwave through the room. The impact of the strike echoes everywhere in a super intense showdown. The scary figure backs up a bit, surprised by the unexpected block. The blue buddy pushes the enemy away, and the kid calls for a rush attack against the enemy's weapon. The beast goes all out, swinging its glowing claws at the mid-air opponent. The attack lands a direct hit on the cloaked monster's giant sword. The insane force of the clash shatters the enemy's weapon into a million pieces. The broken tip of the blade goes flying, stabbing right into the stone floor. The kid cheers hard and yells, telling his summon to finish the fight already. The massive partner charges furiously at the freshly disarmed enemy, but the opponent dodges smoothly and counters, using the remains of its broken sword. The shadowy figure slashes the blue creature with a brutal top-down strike. The MC's partner gets wiped out, vanishing in a flash of energy. The cloaked monster hits the ground, while the blue beast turns into floating magic dust. The glowing leftovers of the summon scatter all over the room. The kid drops some choice words, totally outraged that he lost his only defense. But suddenly, the blue energy starts zooming straight toward the teen. His eyes go wide as he realizes his partner's power was sinking right into his body. The MC yells out as he feels this insane force take over his whole being. Taking advantage of the moment, the shadow creature jumps to strike the vulnerable kid. The youth raises his glowing arm and stops the direct hit like an absolute tank. The clash creates a shockwave, but the teen doesn't even budge an inch. With crazy strength, he shoves the hooded monster way across the room. The enemy gets launched hard, crashing right into the stone wall. The kid stares at his own hand, mind blown by the massive damage he just dealt. The cloaked monster stays stuck in the busted wall, struggling to break loose. The scary figure recovers fast and charges back into the fight, totally furious. With pure determination, the MC clenches his fists and gets in stance for the final clash. Leaving a blue trail of magic, the teen sprints straight at the opponent. The forces collide again, echoing a loud metallic boom down the hallway. The young dude throws a punch packed with raw energy right into the monster's chest. The hit triggers a purple energy blast, obliterating the floor around both of them. The monster lets out a final cry of defeat before dropping to the ground, totally busted. Out of nowhere, a skeleton hand violently grabs the teen's ankle. He looks down in a panic, seeing the disaster that was about to go down. The cloaked monster drags the MC with all its might straight into the hole. The shadowy figure pulls the youth into a free fall through the stone structure. They both tumble through the air right into the building's wreckage. The kid thrashes around during the fall while staring at the enemy's terrifying face. Trying to save himself, he reaches out to grab onto the rocks on the wall. The teen manages to get a grip, but the monster stays clinging onto him. The creature lets out a weird shriek and raises its broken weapon to strike. The sharp blade cuts through the air, heading straight for the MC. The attack barely misses, digging into the wall right next to the kid's face. He squeezes his eyes shut from the stress, realizing he dodged a direct hit by a hair. The shadowy figure lines up to swing another ruthless blow. The enemy swings hard, flashing the broken sword once again. But the young guy focuses his eyes, refusing to lose the fight right there. With killer reflexes, he grabs the beast's wrist, blocking the charge. Sounding super confident, the kid warns that he wasn't going to let things end like this. The cloaked monster growls in rage, struggling to break free from the iron grip. Right then, the youth's hand holding onto the wall starts slipping bit by bit. Unable to hold on, they both go back to free falling with zero support. The creature roars wildly right in the MC's face on the way down. The kid screams right back and starts channeling his mystery energy. Using a massive boost, he lands a devastating strike straight on the enemy. The shadow figure roars in pain from the punch's destructive impact. The MC keeps his eyes locked, totally zoned into the brawl. He funnels his magic energy right into his fingertips. In a flash, he pierces the creature with his glowing hand. The teen shoves the beast away while ripping a shiny crystal right out of its chest. Completely defeated, the hooded monster falls into the abyss. The kid stares at the glowing blue rock in his hand, kinda confused. The crystal shard sparkles hard, giving off a weird light. Suddenly, the crystal melts into pure energy and sinks into the youth's skin. He keeps falling until he spots a stone platform right below him. The boy slams into the ground super hard, rolling across the rocky floor. Totally exhausted, he just lays there, trying to catch his breath. Still sprawled out, the MC lifts his hand, feeling a different kind of vibe. He notices his fingers are now glowing with the same blue light that belonged to the monster. The teen sits up, summoning a sharp blade of light right on his arm. He figures this is what happens when you absorb your partner's power. The kid clenches his fists, feeling the magic run through his veins. Hyped up, he tests out his new skills, throwing glowing punches into the air. A confident smirk pops on his face as he realizes just how much his strength leveled up. He busts out laughing, holding his supercharged hands up high. Despite the crazy scare, the kid admits he's never felt so alive. Right then, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his mirror portal. The metal item instantly lights up, answering its new boss. The screen shows that his summon was busy respawning inside the portal. He sighs in relief, glad to know his blue bro wasn't gone for good. Out of nowhere, a bright light catches his eye, popping up right behind him. The kid turns around and sees an energy vortex just floating in the air. He notices the magic there feels a lot like what brought his beast out. Curious, the teen brings his portable mirror close to the glowing vortex. Instantly, the weird energy gets sucked right into the item. The MC's eyes go wide, shook by the sudden reaction. The screen updates in a flash, showing he stored the defeated enemy's energy. He pockets the portal, deciding to figure out how to use that energy later. Walking up to the edge, he checks out the sketchy path waiting for him. The boy steps through an opening, reminding himself that getting out was the main goal. He finds a messy zone full of floating debris and wild magic. Wasting no time, the kid starts parkouring smoothly across the stone platforms. Going all out, he hangs onto the edge of a loose rock structure. The boy climbs fast up the busted stairs floating in the void. With a massive jump, he leaps over a giant gap to reach the other side. The kid sticks a flawless landing, proving he's got some serious athletic skills. Along the way, he passes by weird formations jammed into the rocks. Totally drained, he looks up trying to spot the end of this crazy route. The MC spots a giant staircase, just floating in the middle of nowhere. After a ton of climbing, his feet finally hit solid, safe ground. He takes a deep breath in front of a door, wondering how his partner is doing. Smiling, he confirms that the colossal creature was already fully healed up. The magic mirror flashes brightly, giving the summon the green light to come out. The blue beast hits the ground, causing tremors everywhere because of its insane weight. The kid tells his buddy to chill out before they walk through the big door. Stepping through, they find themselves in a totally wrecked city overrun by weird stuff. The teen freezes up when he spots a massive purple portal in the sky. The MC checks his glowing holo screen, which was pulling data from this brand new area. He quickly spots someone's body completely buried under heavy rubble on the ground. The person's eyes showed pure terror at the whole nightmare scenario. Right then, a giant, terrifying centipede shows up, lifting the body high above the ruined buildings. The youth and his blue buddy just stand there, staring at how ridiculously huge that bug was in the distance. Hiding behind a wall, the teen wonders where exactly his fake friend had dumped him. Looking worried, he thinks about the constant danger in this creepy, abandoned place. Out of nowhere, fresh dark cracks rip open in the sky, and more giant beasts start crawling out. The dark portals pulsed with an evil vibe, bringing even more chaos to the busted city. Gulping hard, the MC decides he definitely shouldn't be hanging around this scary zone. Staring at the centipede, he figures that if even a bug could get that OP, he could totally do it too. Fired up, the kid stands next to his summon, ready to face whatever this place throws at them. He turns his head and looks for his giant partner's approval, hoping for a friendly reaction. The blue monster just stares back, keeping its wild look and staying completely mute. Scratching his head, the teen feels a bit bummed about the silent treatment, wishing he had a real person to talk to. Moving up, the duo walks down the torn-up streets, trying to map out this risky area. The kid says the main goal is to find an escape route without getting the giant monster's attention. He peeks over his shoulder, staying on high alert for any sketchy movement around them. Luckily, the colossal beasts didn't seem to care at all that they were there. Walking through an empty alley, the kid kicks a can, feeling like the place is way too dead. Right then, a random noise echoes through the area, instantly grabbing the MC's attention. He spins around confused, trying to pinpoint exactly where that weird sound came from. The kid's eyes lock onto a busted store with broken glass and full of shadows. The darkened spot looked like the perfect hideout for whatever was lurking in the ruins. The duo stops in the middle of the street, carefully checking out every inch of that empty block. Feeling suspicious, the teen tells his buddy he definitely saw something moving in there. Deep inside the building's darkness, two glowing yellow eyes stare fixedly at the boy. The shadowy outline of a person with long hair pops up behind the shop's cracked window. The MC takes a step back, analyzing the mystery vibe hiding inside the building. The glowing eyes keep tracking the youth's every move, without looking aggressive at all. He notices the figure didn't seem ready to brawl, but turning his back felt super risky too. Looking at the centipedes in the distance, he decides that starting a fight here would be a terrible idea. Slowly and noisily, the abandoned shop's door swings open on its own, basically inviting the kid in. Immediately, the mystery figure dashes toward the back of the dark hallway. The silver-haired dude hesitates for a second, wondering if it's an invite or one giant trap. He orders his summon to go first, scout the area, and fight back if something jumps it. Following orders, the blue beast leaps straight into the pitch-black ruined building. Prepping for trouble, the kid bends down and grabs a rock from the ground to use as a distraction. The summon keeps pushing wildly through the dark hall, hunting for the mystery figure. The colossal partner lets out a scary roar, flashing all its sharp teeth in the shadows. From outside, the MC hears a loud crashing noise coming from inside the shop. Reading the room, he realizes his partner only attacked because the target was actually dangerous. Out of nowhere, the blue creature gets violently launched, sliding across the hallway floor. The mystery silhouette jumps out of the shadows fast, holding a sharp weapon against the monster. The blue beast takes a direct hit from a crazy fast strike that cuts the air and sends sparks flying. Waiting for the perfect opening, the teen summons his glowing blade on his arm and gets ready to move. The summon takes another piercing hit, proving it's definitely losing this fight. The yellow-eyed figure raises their weapon, lining up the final shot to take down the blue beast. Taking his shot, the MC chucks the rock with all his might straight at the enemy. Right after the throw, the kid dashes at an insane speed, blowing past his partner. With his eyes locked in, he channels magic energy into his hand, charging full force at the figure. The blue energy blade fully forms on his arm, ready for some close quarters combat. But he hits the brakes hard when he realizes the enemy is actually a girl holding a sword. The girl smoothly dodges the rock, which barely misses her freaked-out face. The thrown rock smashes into the wall right behind her, echoing a loud thud down the empty hall. The silver-haired guy backs up in shock, having no clue what a normal person was doing in this apocalypse setup. The dark-haired girl fixes her stance and asks, totally surprised, if the guy actually spoke her language. With his blade up, the MC warns that she'd be in deep trouble if she tried anything funny. The girl eyes the kid's glowing blade, sizing up the situation with a cold, calculated look. Backed by the blue monster, the teen flexes his magic weapon, stating he totally owns the upper hand here. Giving up, the woman puts her weapon away and apologizes, saying she mistook him for one of the beasts. The vibe chills out, and they start playfully arguing about who looked more terrifying. Getting serious again, the girl suggests they head to the back room to chat somewhere safe. The kid refuses to step into pitch-black darkness, paranoid that the whole thing is a deadly trap. The woman sighs dramatically, complaining that the guy was forcing her to waste one of her rare items. She walks calmly into the dark room and strikes a tiny match to light up the place. Holding the flame, the girl asks him to shut the door quick to keep the bugs out. Seeing everything was chill, the MC finally steps into the hideout. He shuts the door behind him, dropping into a defensive stance in the corner of the dimly lit room. The girl calms the teen down, swearing there were already enough monsters in this dump without her being one of them. The youth notices the woman's eyes had a strong yellow glow, which was definitely not human. He also spots her fangs looking a little sharp while she chatted away super casually. Sweating nervously, the silver-haired dude figures that even if she wasn't a standard monster, she sure wasn't human either. Holding the blade on his arm, he straight up asks if she's a local from the mirror world. The woman says no, dropping the bomb that she's from another dimension and got sucked into the system a week ago. The kid asks, totally confused, about the area and how she ended up there. She explains she tripped over a massive obelisk and suddenly got pulled in. The MC gets curious and instantly asks what exact color the structure was. The woman says it was purple and asks if he knows any way to bust out of there. Giving her a suspicious look, the teen reads the room and figures she's telling the truth. He admits he has no clue how to escape and spills that he also got dragged in by an obelisk about 1 hour ago. The girl is shocked to hear he dropped in right when the global system booted up. Keeping a straight face, the silver-haired guy corrects his new ally, admitting he actually got shoved in. The girl points out she thought she was the unlucky one for just falling in. Right then, the glowing-eyed woman finally introduces herself, saying her name is Claire. The kid gives his name and asks how she manages to hide her system stats. Claire flexes a magic ring, explaining the item covers up her starter info. With that, the MC strikes a small match, lighting up the dark space around them. The light reveals a screen showing she's a level 3 vampire warrior. Alex notices she's packing some serious strength and decides it'd be awesome to have a partner here. The vampire asks the kid to hold the flame while she digs for her bandages. The youth hesitates for a sec, staring at the little fire in his partner's hands. With no other options, he ends up taking the match to help out his banged-up new ally. The silver-haired dude finds it funny that a vampire is handling fire, and she notices his careful vibe. Claire patches up her busted arm and says she totally gets why he's sketchy about the system. The girl apologizes for rushing in and beating up his spiky monster earlier. Smiling, the MC assures her that his buddy doesn't stay knocked out for long. The woman's eyes go wide in disbelief, asking if the kid took a hard hit to the head. Out of nowhere, a weird noise and a shadowy figure start creeping along the walls. The young guy's eyes pop open, instantly realizing they definitely weren't alone anymore. Wasting no time, he warns his ally and tells her to get on her feet fast. The duo drops into a combat stance, and the girl asks what the heck was going on. The silver-haired guy crumbles up a little paper ball, cooking up some kind of distraction. He brings the match flame close, lighting the piece of paper up quick. With a slick move, the kid tosses the fireball up to the second floor into the darkness. The flash exposes a level 4 shadow creature, which lets out a creepy hiss. The shadow monster backs away fast, crawling away from the flames on the floor. The kid spots the creature's fear and asks for another match, but the vampire warns him that was the very last one. The two look at each other tensely, realizing their only light source was about to go out. The fire on the floor dies, and they figure the beast was just waiting for the room to go pitch black. The space goes almost completely dark, leaving the kids super on edge. The duo gets ready for a brawl, with the matchstick about to burn out. The silver-haired dude thinks the monster's fear is weird, and Claire warns they need to make a move right now. The vampire draws her sword, slicing the blade through the air and getting ready to charge. The kid suggests they dip back to the streets, but she's worried about catching the giant centipede's attention. The teen asks about the power gap between their levels, and the girl admits it's pretty massive. The woman stays sharp, scanning every corner of that sketchy dark room. Suddenly, the shadow creature goes all out, charging straight at the vampire. Claire blocks the hit with her sword and warns that the beast wasn't going to let them leave this place. The MC tries to spot the beast by lighting up the area and asks if his ally has night vision. She admits she can see heat signatures, but the monster wasn't putting off any heat. Holding the almost dead match, the kid groans about how their time is running out fast. The scary creature leaps from the ceiling, setting up another brutal strike on the duo. The beast slams into the ground with a heavy crash, splitting the two partners up in the room. The silver-haired kid asks what their odds are if they gang up on it, and Claire bets the enemy would take the win. The MC puts his hand on his hip, brewing up a wild strategy in his head. Flashing a confident smirk, he jokes that he hates fighting when the odds are actually in his favor. The girl stares at her ally in shock and asks if he already cooked up a plan. The kid confirms the strat and tells the vampire to get ready for a precision strike. She snaps back, annoyed pointing out that hitting something she can't even see is impossible. The youth says he's going to run with the light to act as bait, and she just needs to swing when the window opens. The partner asks what the backup plan is if it all goes wrong, and he suggests they just run for their lives. The MC takes off sprinting for the exit, lighting up the path in the dark. Coming out of the shadows, the creature's terrifying claws get ready to snatch its prey. The monster moves insanely fast through the air, crossing the room right at the teen. The monster's giant paw closes in fast on the MC's back. Sticking to the plan, the vampire attacks with everything she's got, leaving a magic trail with her sword. The girl keeps her eyes totally locked in, completely focused on landing the hit. But the creature shifts quickly, making the woman's strike hit absolutely nothing. The youth smoothly ducks to the floor, keeping the tiny lit match in his hand. Suddenly, the flame flares up huge, sending a shockwave of light through the dark room. The flash reveals exactly where the beast is, trapping it right between the two partners, taking the perfect shot. Claire buries her blade straight into the creature's back. The kid steps in and throws a punch packed with magic energy right at the enemy. The heavy impact of the combo attack blasts the shadow beast to the total opposite side of the room. After putting everything into the strike, the silver-haired dude ends up falling flat on his back on the hard floor. The beast body bursts into flames, setting off a massive explosion of fire in the room. The vampire reaches out and helps her newest combat buddy get back on his feet. The duo watches closely as the flames completely eat up the defeated creature on the floor. The enemy lets out a deafening roar as it gets entirely wiped out by the fire. The fire keeps burning bright in the hallway, lighting up the whole place. Right then, some purple energy starts swirling mysteriously right in the middle of the flames. The force spins around and turns into a little sphere floating in the air. The kid thinks that's epic and finally gets why the beast was so terrified of fire. The vampire locks her eyes on the glowing orb, looking totally amazed by the sight. The silver-haired guy quickly whips his little magic mirror out of his pocket. He brings his hand near the floating energy, curious to see what would happen. The magic power gets sucked straight into his body with an intense flash of light. The teen holds the mirror, which instantly reacts to that weird absorbed energy. With a soft click, the magic item pulls the leftover power right inside it. The holo screen refreshes, showing off the fresh stats saved on its surface. Hyped, he says he can't wait to test out these brand new rewards. The girl sits down on the ground, totally drained, while her ally checks the doorway. The vampire starts carefully wrapping fresh bandages on her injured arm. The silver-haired guy walks over, offering to help finish up his partner's bandages. Claire agrees to the help, smiling and thanking her teammate for being so chill. He says it's the least he could do, considering it was his own monster that messed her up. The kid apologizes for the beast's wild move, and she promises she'll be fully healed up soon. The woman validates his summoner class, noting how insanely handy that magic is. The youth scans the area and asks how long his ally has been stuck around here. The vampire admits she lost track, but guesses she's been trapped for a few days. He asks if she's been roughing it solo, or if there were other people around. Looking kinda sad, she mentions she had a crew, but now she's the only one left. The silver-haired guy realizes how heavy the situation is and puts on a really serious face. He tries to lighten the mood, telling her that now he and his creature would back her up. The girl smiles, agreeing and hyping up her partner's magic, which was turning out to be super useful. As they walk, the boy asks what other skills the girl uses besides swinging a sword. She admits she absorbs energy and gets bummed out that she can't find what she needs in this place. They reach a ruined section, and he realizes she was already a vampire even before everything went down. The MC gives her a curious look, wanting to figure out her backstory. He rubs his head, admitting that back on Earth, magic and all this stuff didn't even exist. The duo walks through the busted buildings with giant, creepy cracks hovering in the sky. The vampire explains that the golden rule here is to take out enemies to level up your strength. The kid thinks the logic is weird and asks if there's a bigger boss monster in the area. His ally flashes a mysterious smile, promising that the system absolutely loves making everything harder. The youth rubs his chin, wondering if the difficulty scales up for each person individually. He decides to just focus on bouncing from this wrecked zone instead of trying to hack the system. The silver-haired kid guesses what would happen if they tried to fight something way above their pay grade. Claire's face drops, warning him that testing the theory out here would be an awful idea. Flashing a confident smirk, the kid guesses the loot would totally make up for the crazy risk. They stop in their tracks, staring at a massive mountain wrapped in an intense purple glow. The teen points it out, noticing the energy coming off that peak is exactly like the portals up in the sky. The woman's golden eyes go wide, looking pretty stressed about her buddy's deduction. She nods with a sigh and admits that their best shot at making it out is definitely up there. The MC smiles, getting hyped, and announces they gotta head straight for the top. Monstrous centipedes were crawling near the glowing structure, basically owning the whole sky. Walking over the rubble, the youth asks how exactly you're supposed to absorb power. His ally explains he's going to have to meditate to actually master the energy he just snagged. She holds up her fingers, breaking down how the training would level up his own soul's power. The woman adjusts the bandages on her arm, warning him that the first time takes a while. The kid asks if she's feeling okay, and the girl nods, keeping up the fast pace. Claire takes the lead, mentioning she prefers not to soak up all the energy in one go. The vampire confesses it took her a minute to process that everything had actually fallen apart. The silver-haired guy nods and pulls out his silver portal, swearing he's feeling incredibly alive right now. He notes that he thinks this whole thing is insane, but admits he's actually starting to enjoy the ride. The girl looks at her partner with curiosity, asking what he used to do before the world ended. Laughing, she says she was in her last year at the academy and was just about to join the guard. The youth mentions he was in school too, but had absolutely no clue what he wanted to do with his life. Right then, the little magic mirror in his hand starts glowing super bright again. The MC locks onto the item, amazed at how fast the system booted up. The screen shows his summoned beast was finally healed up and ready for round 2. Without pausing, the kid throws the glowing item at the floor to call out his partner. The portal cracks open, tearing the space around it as the giant creature steps out. The blue beast hits the ground hard, spooking the vampire, who takes a nervous step back. The monstrous alley lets out a massive roar, flexing its spikes in every direction. Smiling, the kid introduces the beast, swearing it's basically impossible to beat. The woman checks out the summon, stating she's never fought next to a class like that before. Joking around, the kid thinks it's wild they speak the same language, even though they're from completely different worlds. The girl smiles, guessing the system itself is probably doing the live translation for them. The silver-haired dude nods and suggests the monster take the lead to clear the risky path ahead. The trio keeps walking down the busted streets, with the giant beast leading the squad. Suddenly, the teen's eyes go wide, realizing there's a huge problem with getting hungry in this place. His ally says she doesn't have any food, but mentions she'd love a drink if he had any supplies. The kid lets out a defeated sigh, confirming his pockets are completely empty. Focused on the mission, he decides to brush off the issue and walk straight toward the mountain. The youth figures that not having water just makes this whole survival thing way more complicated. Right then, he notices those weird dark portals buzzing up in the sky. The duo and the blue beast take cover behind the rubble, keeping an eye on the threat. A giant centipede crawls super fast over the ruined building. Suddenly, a dark hand pops out of thin air, surrounded by sketchy energy. The massive bug flashes its red armor packed with sharp spikes. A mystery force yanks the colossal bug straight into the portal. The giant hand smashes the centipede against the building, doing insane damage. The monster thrashes around and lets out a terrifying skreak as it gets pulled in. The silver-haired guy's eyes pop open, completely shook by the insane scene. He realizes those giant bugs definitely aren't sitting at the top of the food chain here. The portal vanishes from the sky, leaving nothing but a trail of dust. Claire warns that the noise is going to attract something way worse, and the kid agrees they need to bail fast. Without wasting a second, the trio starts sprinting as fast as they can through the ruins. They hit the brakes when they run into a brand new enemy chilling on the ground. The vampire looks at her teammate with a totally confident and focused expression. She pulls out her glowing blade and tells him to back off, since she already knows how this thing fights. The greenish monster with multiple arms lets out a furious growl, proving it's a level 3. The freaky creature unleashes a deafening roar, flashing its razor-sharp teeth. Holding her ground, the girl repeats her warning for her partner not to step in. The kid taps her shoulder, saying he's taking the front line on this one because of her injuries. Stressed out, she reminds him he's only at level 1, and this is way too risky. Flashing a smile, he argues the loot will be way better and the blue beast will help out. The shadow beast creeps closer, ready to kick off the main event. The kid states you gotta be a little crazy if you want to level up. Standing next to his partner, he points out there's no point surviving today if they stay weak for tomorrow. The enemy swings its scary tentacles through the air with insane power. Claire takes a deep breath and steps back, agreeing not to jump in so the system counts his win. She backs way up, telling him to watch out for the higher level enemy. The silver-haired dude summons his magic blade, swearing he's been waiting for exactly this. The two creatures charge at each other using all their power and speed. The teen locks his eyes and orders his summon to dodge before going for a hit. The opponent tries to strike using its extra arms, but the blue buddy manages to block. The blue beast hops back quick, dodging a low, fast sweep. Taking advantage of the gap, the summon counters with its glowing, sharp claws. The green monster takes the hit and ends up getting launched a solid distance away. The freaky creature lets out an even angrier growl at the OP opponent pushing forward. With a slick move, the enemy whips all of its tentacles straight through the air. The blue beast gets tagged, and the kid realizes his partner is still losing this brawl. The giant buddy skids backward, struggling to stay on its feet after the hit. The creature roars, and the silver-haired dude admits it'd be way easier to just gang up on it with Claire. The enemy keeps attacking like crazy, not giving them a single second to breathe. Seeing his partner getting wrecked, the kid decides he doesn't want to rely on others just to survive. Ready to jump in, the teen sprints at max speed straight into the fight zone. He keeps his gaze sharp, totally sure he's going to take on this massive challenge head on. The blue beast gets slammed by a devastating hit and drops right to the floor. The silver-haired kid figures his partner isn't going to win, and he'd never survive solo in this place. Looking super mad, the colossal summon gets up fast, ready to throw hands. The blue buddy charges in and clashes against the enemy's extra arms with max power. The green monster stares at the beast, its glowing eyes radiating pure rage. Right then, one of the enemy's tentacles starts buzzing with some unknown magic. In a totally unexpected move, the creature uses its arms to completely wrap up the blue beast. The summon thrashes around furiously, trying everything it can to break out of that bear hug. The silver-haired kid uses the total distraction and sprints in, yelling that it's now or never. With a huge leap, the teen grabs tightly onto the green creature's back. From far away, Claire's eyes go wide in panic, thinking the boy had totally lost his mind. The monster feels the weight on its back and counters with a brutal arm swing. With a fast, instinctive move, the youth bails off the beast, dodging the hit perfectly. The MC raises his own hand, gathering magic power into his fingers. But the enemy turns out to be faster and wraps one of its tentacles right around the kid's body. The creature lifts the teen into the air with zero effort, and he realizes how insanely strong this thing is. The monster stares the boy down from up close, letting out a terrifying roar right in his face. Capitalizing on the enemy's mistake, the blue beast manages to free one of its paws. The giant buddy grabs the tentacle, holding its master in an iron grip. With max strength, the summon delivers a massive punch right to the shadow creature's head. The energy in the silver-haired kid's hand starts glowing bright, ready for action. The youth takes advantage of his ally's hit and throws a fast kick to break free from the hold. On the way down, he stabs his magic blade right into the beast's shoulder, making it roar in pure agony. The hit makes the enemy lose its strength, totally freeing the duo. The blue beast charges in full force with its jaws wide open, going straight to end this epic fight. The partner shreds the enemy's chest with a double strike of extreme power. Totally crushed, the green monster collapses on its back, ending the showdown. The creature's body melts away instantly, turning into a wave of magic dust. The sparks of glowing energy start flying fast right toward the kid. Soaking up that intense power, the teen flashes a hyped smile, knowing the fight totally paid off. The defeated enemy's golden power groups up, creating a glowing orb in the room. The kid brings his magic mirror close to trap that mystery essence. Instantly, the light hovers and sinks straight into the shiny item in his hands. The bright screen refreshes, confirming he bagged the new power. Claire walks over, checking on things, and the silver-haired dude smiles, saying he's got it all under control. The girl takes a deep breath and calls her partner a maniac, reminding him he claimed to just be a summoner. The kid nods and excuses it by saying he couldn't let his beast carry the whole team every single time. Looking dead serious, he states that nobody levels up without taking some crazy risks. The vampire agrees with the logic, but still looks sketchy about his story that Earth was new to the system. The teen swears he's telling the truth and suggests they bounce from this ruined spot right now. Walking through the wreckage, they pass by busted old traffic lights along the way. The area was covered in dark rocks and massive destruction everywhere you looked. The duo keeps moving down the empty streets, with the blue alley sticking close for protection. They move up carefully, keeping an eye on the messy environment and all the threats around them. On the way, they spot one of those giant centipedes, guarding the top of the collapsed buildings. The colossal creature was crawling around like a monster, totally owning that chunk of the city. From far away, their main goal was glowing at the peak of a mountain with that giant purple energy in the sky. The teen notices a forest full of creepy trees blocking off the bottom of the huge obelisk. The girl realizes there's no way to detour and asks how her partner is holding up. The silver-haired kid admits he's beat and suggests they take a breather in a warehouse nearby. Once in the hideout, the boy asks if she'd chill for a bit too while the blue alley plays lookout. Claire sighs, confessing her real need was to feed on blood. But there was zero way to get any. The youth points to himself, offering up his own blood to help his new teammate get her strength back. The vampire passes on it, explaining the system limits feeding, and doing that might totally drain his energy. She steps a little closer slowly, giving him an intense look, realizing that her exhaustion and hunger are taking over. Seeing his ally so weak, the kid states he'd rather stay tired than lose his only teammate. The girl's fangs pop out more while she struggles hard to fight off her own instincts. The girl stares at the MC with her golden eyes, showing a mix of guilt and craving. Taking a super deep breath, she backs up a bit, apologizing and promising she could hold out a little longer. The boy offers to share a chunk of the pure energy he snagged, but warns he needs to meditate first to do it. The colossal beast stays on guard at the door, while the teen sits on the floor to start the process. The silver-haired dude closes his eyes and tries to focus, figuring this is going to be tough without the system's help. He takes a super deep breath, trying to find exactly how to hack into that stored power. Suddenly, his eyes pop open in shock when he realizes the whole vibe around him just aggressively switched up. The kid finds himself standing on a reflective floor covered in water and lit up by some weird blue glow. Confused, he checks his surroundings and wonders if he just got teleported straight inside his own head. A bit further ahead, he spots a massive ball of buzzing magic hovering over the still water. Curious, the youth leans in and touches the energy, feeling a freezing surface that felt totally solid. He stares at the swirling light, guessing he's got to do something with this magic force. Right then, a random voice congratulates the kid on his logic, making him jump back terrified. A tall, sharply dressed guy with pointy ears pops up out of nowhere, mirrored in the room's water. The MC glares at the weird dude, demanding to know who he is and what he's doing chilling in his brain. The man keeps a totally stiff posture, and the silver-haired kid complains about him just busting into his private space. The intruder asks if the system dropped the kid in here, noticing the total lack of a mind palace. The silver-haired dude connects the dots and asks, annoyed, if this suit guy is supposed to be his class instructor. The guy with pointy ears denies just being an instructor, but promises he's only there to help out. Snapping his fingers, the intruder dryly warns he wasn't going to answer questions or change how things are set up. He lays down the law, saying they're just going to knock out this last mission, and then he's out of there. The mystery man's strict look makes it super clear he has absolutely zero patience for games. The youth opens his eyes in the real world, totally freaked out by that creepy encounter in his head. The vampire gets a jump scare when her ally snaps back so fast, realizing he woke up way too early. The silver-haired kid rubs his head and tells the girl there's a super weird dude creeping around his mind. Claire laughs it off and mentions her guide wasn't scary at all, blaming the whole thing on her partner's terrible luck. Not wasting much time, the kid shuts his eyes again to try and fix this mess fast. Back in the water room, the mystery guy lets out an annoyed sigh, telling him to hurry it up. The youth shrugs, excusing himself by saying he just went to check if he wasn't completely losing his mind. The intruder raises a hand and orders the teen to refine the power straight into his mind palace's basin. Lost, the silver-haired kid cuts in, pointing out this is the second time he's hearing all this weird vocabulary. The suit guy looks at the youth in total disbelief over how completely clueless he is. Sighing, the guy tells the kid to drop the attitude and just condense the magic, but the teen has no idea how to actually do it. The visitor rubs his temples, getting a massive headache from the noob's absolute lack of basic knowledge. The MC scratches his head and complains he'd gladly do the job if someone actually taught him the basics first. The mystery guy looks a bit surprised, realizing the teen legit skipped the whole tutorial phase. Crossing his arms, the youth warns they're going to be stuck there forever if the guy doesn't start helping him out. The intruder stays dead silent for a sec, processing the system's absolutely insane screw up this time around. Deciding to move on, the man tells the kid to chill his breathing and use sheer willpower to steer the power. The silver-haired dude sits in a meditation pose, locking in on the massive glowing sphere floating in front of him. The blue energy buzzes hard, slowly following the focused teen's mental commands. Bright sparks start spinning around the orb, while the raw power struggles to finally take shape. The magic makes random blobs in the air, making the guide tell the kid to stop goofing off and just focus. The teen raises his hands and starts shoving the intense light straight into a small circular hole. The giant energy ball fits perfectly into the mystic basin, glowing brighter and brighter. Chilling in the water, the youth keeps his focus maxed out so he can refine all that insane power. The energy compresses, and a single glowing drop falls gently onto the palace's water layer. Seeing how slow this is going, the silver-haired kid realizes this mission is going to take way longer than he thought. After going all out and sweating buckets, the kid finally beats the mission. The refined guy tells him to use the power. The youth says he'd happily use it if he knew how, since he's surrounded by beasts and needs to level up fast. The intruder comments that trying to dig up data the system hid is a slick move, but he wasn't falling for it. Annoyed, the silver-haired dude asks why he'd even lie and demands to know what the system hid, since he just wanted normal help. The guide crosses his arms when he sees the kid is legit, and the teen promises he just wanted to wrap this up and get back to the action. The man praises the kid's hustle to learn, and tells him to drink the basin's water to mix the mind's energy with his physical body. The suit guy acts sarcastic, calling the kid a genius, while the youth guesses he'd unlock more skills at levels 2 and 3. The visitor explains he'd get 3 versatile rotes, and suggests the kid think about his future when he makes his pick. Giving a creepy look, the mystery man warns that the power limit is endless, but only if he actually levels up enough. The silver-haired guy asks about the soul manifestation and finds out it evolves every phase based on how strong the palace is. Scratching his head, the youth feels even more lost, trying to wrap his brain around how this whole crazy setup actually works. Staring at the intruder, the kid asks what the system's end goal is, and why this is even happening to the planet. The man explains the system just wants to expand, and people see it as a virus, a blessing, or even just a force of nature. The MC looks at the suit guy with a curious face and asks what his own personal take on the giant system is. The guide smiles, saying the kid will have to figure that out himself, and reminds him he still has a mission to finish. No more stalling, the kid leans on the edge of the glowing basin, fully focused on finishing the job so he can pop back to the real world quick. He brings his face close to the shiny energy and starts chugging the magic water to absorb all that freshly purified power. Out of nowhere, the teen chokes hard, spitting out some of the glowing energy as he takes a massive, brutal hit straight to his body. The mystery intruder flashes an evil smirk, watching the kid totally suffer from the intense kickback of that monstrous magic.